Good afternoon and welcome to Trading Card Therapy, episode number 30 and the first of 2023. Happy New Year to all of my collector friends. And thanks for joining us today. So I had the good fortune to be with my son Crosby in Disney World over New Year's Eve, and it was quite the spectacle. Very, very busy, a lot of fun. A lot of walking, as we averaged about 20,000 steps a day, and my son was a trooper. We had a blast. So if you ever need any help to figure out what to do in Disney, I'd recommend my really good friend's wife, who is a travel agent and most importantly, actually loves Disney. And so the day before we left, we talked for like 37 minutes to make sure that I was prepared and I knew all the information, and very, very grateful and thankful for Darcy making our trip fantastic. And so we are now back in the real world today, here for Trading Card Therapy, our 30th episode. Our first topic that we're going to come to today is what I bought recently out of REA. Now, I bought a lot of things out of Robert Edwards' last auction. Most of which was either for vintage breaks or just collect. But I did buy one item. Hey, afternoon, Harry. I think that's you. I did buy one item for myself, and I wanted to show that off here for the first time on Trading Card Therapy. And this is the first time I've seen it in person, and it was waiting for me when I got back. I want to talk about what drew me to it, why I bought it. And this is, by the way, by no means investment advice. As I mentioned, it's for my collection. What does that mean? Who knows? But it's not being bought to be flipped, to be sold right away. Maybe my son will one day will decide what to do with it, but certainly not, not something I'm worried about at the moment. So I've been collecting Honus Wagner, cards for quite some time. And if you're like me, right, most of the collecting world, in fact, probably 98 to 99.5% of it, is never going to own a T206 Honus Wagner. So what Honus Wagner card would you like to own if you're going to choose any Wagner card at all besides his T206? Some might go with a Z95. Others might go with, let's say a Pinkerton. He's got some really rare like candy issues. And I think all that stuff's great. But I've been collecting for quite some time now, many years, original photography, type 1s, not just sports, pivotal moments in history, in music, in culture, right, in war. And this particular item that was in the auction, I have never seen before. I think they said this was the second time they had offered it. It's from 1912. Yep, caramel cards of Wagner, definitely out there. E95 being one of the most popular. Afternoon, James. So I found this in the catalog and, of course, fell in love because it's Honus Wagner in 1912, but it's not the kind of card you're thinking about. It's a little bit, out there as far as it's not a mainstream card. But then when I considered the historical importance of it to me and how much I enjoyed it and how cool I thought it was, I decided to go for it. Didn't know if I would win it, but this is the first I'm seeing of it. And I'm thoroughly impressed with both the image itself, but then upon a closer look with the loop, the detail in their faces. So without further ado, this is an unused real photo postcard from 1910 featuring the entire Pittsburgh Pirates team with Honus Wagner, graded by SGC and SGC2, and Wagner is right here. I'm going to bring him closer to you. And he's in a really cool Pittsburgh baseball Pirates sweater. And if you look at how amazing, if this was just a photograph, it would be great. The fact they were able to fit this on a postcard and is unused, I didn't know how to value it, but this is what's crazy. Afternoon, Nick. I really thought this thing was going to be like 5,000 plus. And considering what Honus Wagner cards go for in some of those other issues I mentioned, even in just low grades of Authentic and One, I figured at least a couple thousand, meaning 2,500, $5,000 is what it would cost to win this. I was shocked. I won this, and I don't want to misquote. You can look it up in their last auction. I won this for about $1,250, maybe $1,500. And I have to say, it's probably the coolest Honus Wagner item I have in my collection. So I wanted to explain to you folks what drew me to this. And this is not to explain that this is a good investment. This is merely to explain how I came across valuing it and feeling comfortable to buy it and go after it. So when I looked at the, that would be very cool, James. When I looked at pricing for Honus Wagner, caramel candy, and other type cards in lower grades, even like his 48 leaf and like a 5 is like a $500, maybe a little bit more card. And that card was produced way after his career. This is right in the middle of it. It includes a real picture of Wagner. Now, I realize it might be a little bit tough for you to see from the screen, but in person, it's as clear as day, meaning the actual photo itself. And then I've singled out Wagner right here. And you could see his face very, very easily. So I thought to own a piece of baseball history with an unused postcard with a tremendous image was going to be at least $2,500 to $5,000. And the fact that I was able to get it for south of $2,000, I felt great about. Doesn't mean it's a good deal. I just felt good about it from the standpoint of knowing about the Honus Wagner card market. I forgot to show it off on Instagram. So for those watching on Instagram, take a moment, soak it in. It's a real beauty. It actually looks nicer than a 2 for whatever that's worth. But I didn't really care about the technical grade. I cared about how the photo looked to me. So I would encourage any and all collectors out there that if you're looking for a Babe Ruth item, or if you're looking for a Shoeless Joe Jackson item, and I singled those two out for a reason, someone whose history in the game is going to cause their cards to be worth a lot of money, there's other types of memorabilia and other types of cards that you can buy and you can seek out that honestly may be even cooler than that original card you were going after. Now, to be clear, would I rather have this than the T206 Honus Wagner? No. I would much rather have the T206 Honus Wagner. When you consider the fact that other than owning a piece of one through, like Rally or Every or any of the fractional share companies, like Collectible, we are not going to be acquiring a Wagner here anytime soon that I know of. However, I thought this was a great piece, especially for the budget. So do yourself a favor. The next time there's a big catalog auction from Golden, from Heritage, from REA, from Memory Lane, or any other big, boys out there, believe me, I always go to the Goudies. I always go to the candy cards and the tea cards every single time. That's what I do for a living. But I'm also a collector at heart and really appreciate the game. And when I factored all of that into who Honus Wagner is and was and his stature in the game even today, and the fact that his T206 still continues to escalate and there can't be more than a handful of these in existence, very proud to own this. I'm excited. So do me a favor. Please let me know in the chat if you're watching today's show, even afterwards. Let me know if you've come across something like this with a different player. Let me know what piece you bought for yourself. I personally would love to see. And if you want to DM me or email me direct, it's Leighton@justcollect.com. Would love to hear from you. All right. Second topic for today's show is, a lot of talk going on in the industry about a lot of different things, a lot of noise. And I feel like, in a way, it's comparable to life, right? My son went back to school today. Really easy to focus on the noise and all the hubbub that's out there. And so, what I've been trying to do is to figure out, both at a personal level and company level, meaning for Vintage Breaks and Just Collect, how can you be of more service to people in the hobby, to people that you care about, to people that you don't even know yet, but you want to try to foster that relationship and you'd like to see it grow. So I was bidding in a good friend of mine, Al from Love of the Games auction just a few weeks ago. And I mean, Al's auction's great. And the main reason I like his auction so much is because he's always got great cards. He's always got a couple interesting sets, but he always gets fresh material from, longtime collectors or even outside the hobby. And it's always really fun to see stuff like that. So in this particular auction, I had not seen this photo before that I'm about to describe to you. And there was a number of other Type 1 early baseball photos. So I texted my friend Jim. In fact, you know him from the Vintage Breaks community, Jim Ector. And I should have texted Jim before today's show. I just realized, J5, because he's not seen it in person yet. But it was the night of the auction, or maybe the night before, but I think it was the night that the auction was closing. And I simply just texted Jim and like a couple other, hobby buddies. Hey, cool auction happened tonight. Are you bidding? Are you winning anything? And Jim in particular said, no, I didn't even know about it. Like, what do they have? I said, well, they have some cool photos, as well as some great cards. And he texted me. He goes, late. I went to go bid on this photo. It's too late. And for those of you who don't know what that means, the auction was still running, but you have to have your initial bids in, usually by a certain time, that final day of the auction. So that's a little tip for those of you out there who are maybe, novices in bidding in big auction houses, like some of the ones we mentioned on today's show. Typically, they'll have a cutoff time of maybe 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock Eastern time, the final day. And so what that means is, as long as you bid on that said item before the auction concludes, you can bid on that item to your heart's content until the end of the auction, bidding up and back and forth, whatever the case may be. And so Jim tried to place a bid, but because he was past the original time to place his bid in the auction, he was shut out, or so he thought. He texted me, and I could tell it was something that he was really interested in. And I asked him, I said, Jim, would you like me to bid on the photo for you? He said, sure. So I bid on the photo, and that was really interesting because it is a Type 1 photo. He doesn't, like many of us, know how to tell or figure out what a Type 1 photo is worth. And so here's that word that everyone loves in the hobby, comps. He tried to find a comp. Unfortunately, for what I'm about to show you, there's not many. And so then you try to figure out, well, what are other similar type photos from other similar type players from that time period sell for? But all in all, especially with photography, but even with cards, you're seeing sometimes lower grade cards sell for more than the next grade because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So Jim asked me what he should go up to, and it felt a little bit awkward because I don't actually know. So I gave him the advice that, hey, if you like it, bid up to what you feel comfortable with. You can't go wrong. So he asked for a little guidance. I might have nudged him a little bit, like, yeah, you can go an extra bid. It'll be fine. And before I show you the photo that I was able to secure for Jim, and what I mean by that is I won the photo for Jim. He didn't give me a deposit. He didn't pay me for it yet. But the point is I know Jim very well. I'm not worried about all of those things, or any of those things, excuse me. But most importantly, I helped Jim obtain, I believe, something really special for his collection that he wouldn't have even known about if it wasn't for me. And by the way, this is how much I made off that transaction. Zero. The reason why I'm sharing with you like that is because sometimes you do things for people just to be doing something nice for someone. Once again, offering them a service. Now, I have no doubt Jim would do the same for me. If he was looking at an auction, he thought maybe I hadn't seen it, or he was curious, Leighton, are you bidding? And maybe if I had missed an item, I have no doubt he would do the same for me. But even if he or someone similar wouldn't, it really is not necessary to be reciprocated. The point is, if we can start off 2023 and kind of focus on how to be of more service to everyone in our industry, in our hobby, with our customers, we're all going to be a lot better off, both as business people and as individuals. I know that I'm super excited. Can you text Jim? Oh, no, I don't have my phone. He'll see it, I'm sure, soon. I am thrilled to show off what we were able to purchase for Jim. And it is the first ever Sam Crawford, who's a Detroit Tiger Hall of Famer. This is an original wire photo, type 1 of Paul Thompson. In case you don't know, Paul Thompson is a very famous turn-of-the-century baseball photographer. And trying to get it crystal clear on camera. It's a beauty. I'm going to show it off on Instagram in just a second. It is from the Baseball Magazine archive sale from 1996. So someone's been sitting on this for about 25 years, give or take, because I hadn't seen it. Check that on Instagram. I hope you enjoy it. This is something I was able to procure for one of our customers from Vintage Breaks community. And he's a big, big Detroit fan. Really excited to be able to help Jim acquire this for his collection. And remember, you don't always have to lay out the money for people. You can simply just give someone, a heads up. But I know Jim's going to be thrilled. And we were ecstatic to be able to help him. Got some feedback from today's show. So I'm going to shout out James G. Do agree, some auctions, bidding in them is, time-consuming, can be flustering. You wait 7 hours of extended time to find out that you either won a card or you lost a card that you were actually waiting on. Here's the deal. You got to go into these auctions and you got to understand they bring out this emotion that's a little bit different than you would feel maybe going to a card show. You don't want to lose it. It's super special. And that is why I reached out to Jim. Whether it be he bought it or not, I wanted to make sure he knew about the opportunity, that there was some really cool turn-of-the-century baseball photography. And lo and behold, I believe this is Jim's first type 1 for his collection. And we are very proud to be able to help him land that. So, if you're going to a card show this weekend, my buddy Pank does this all the time. Late, are you going to this such and such show? I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even know there was a show there this weekend. You may not feel like that's much of a service that you're doing for someone, but what if it is? It's something really simple, like letting someone know about a new card shop opening, letting someone know about a new store that is half music memorabilia, but you went in there recently, and in the very back corner, they have an amazing display case of baseball memorabilia. Not going to be that easy to find that on Google. So think about the things this year that you can do for your fellow collectors in our wonderful hobby to be of service to them. And you and we will all be a lot better off for it. And lastly, I wanted to mention that Vintage Breaks is having our big event ending this Sunday evening. You could find all the details of our event on our website at vintagebreaks.com. If you'd like to go directly to our event page to find out some of the things you could win, like a Mickey Mantle Bowman rookie and some other amazing vintage cards, check out events.vintagebreaks.com. Our event closes this Sunday at 10 o'clock. That's when we cut off all entries and we reveal the prizes shortly afterwards, live on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/vintagebreaks. And speaking of breaks and a Mickey Mantle rookie, we have an awesome 1951 Bowman baseball starter set break going up today on our website at vintagebreaks.com. And here's the mantle. Got really good eye appeal for 1.5. Here is a Willie Mays rookie and a 1.5 with great eye appeal. Both of these are going to be in a 200-card 1951 Bowman baseball starter set break that's going to be available on our website today. Spots are going to be $195 per spot. And best of all, to kick off the new year, we're going to make a separate post on our Trading Card Therapy account. And in conjunction with Vintage Breaks, we are going to offer our Trading Card Therapy audience over the next week a chance to win a free spot in this break. And can you imagine turning that free spot into a Mantle or a Willie Mays rookie? That would be a great way to start off the new year. So stay tuned for more details about how you can win a free spot in this break. We will announce the details right here on our Trading Card Therapy Instagram page. And someone was just asking, it's $195 per spot. It'll be live this afternoon on our website. I wish each of you the best of luck in this free giveaway. And if you have any topics you'd like to see me cover on Trading Card Therapy this year, please DM me on Instagram or send me an email directly to Leighton, Leighton, at justcollect.com. And with that, we are going to wrap up our first episode of Trading Card Therapy of 2023. Happy New Year to each and every one of you, my collector friends. Thanks for joining us. Look forward to seeing you next Thursday and each and every Thursday thereafter at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Thanks for tuning in.